thank you everyone for staying with us. The rest of the show continues from this point. Just a while ago, Quinn and I were talking about the state of education in Nigeria today and what the challenges are, particularly those highlighted by our Minister of Education only yesterday. Our guests will join us later on the show to help look at all of those factors and how we can make progress going forward. In the meantime, let's join Anthony Momodu as it brings us a wrap-up of sports.
Hello sports friends, welcome to Sports News Update. The Nigerian Football Federation has put forward pre-campaign MRI scans for all players to ensure only those within the right age bracket represent the country at the Under-17 men's national team. The Golden Eaglets, according to the team media officer Francis Achi, the football body is leaving no margin for errors in order to avoid extensive decimation of the team due to failed MRI tests, as in the past. Players failing the MRI test has been part of the fabric of the team for several years now, which is why the NFF is assiduously working towards nipping it in the bud this term. In February 2023, 3 key players who were in Ghana for the WAFU qualifiers failed the age test despite an initial order for all the players in camp to do their own private MRI test, before the official one conducted later by the NFF. Joseph Stanisic scored in the 7th minute of the stoppage time as Bayer Leverkusen extended their unbeaten run to 45 games in all competitions with a 1-1 draw at Borussia Dortmund on Sunday. Crowned Bundesliga champions for the first time last week, Leverkusen looked set to lose their unbeaten record when Dortmund's Niklas Füllkrug scored with 9 minutes remaining, as they have done so often this season. However, Leverkusen scored late. Stanisic's goal coming from a corner deep into other time. It was Leverkusen's 14th goal to come after the 90th minute this season and kept their dreams of becoming the first team to go unbeaten through a Bundesliga season alive. Erik ten Hag claimed that stumbling into the FA Cup final was a huge achievement for Manchester United, even though they were nearly humiliated by Coventry. After Coventry fought back from 3-0 down to take the semi-final into extra time, substitute Victor Top thought he had won it only for Wright, who had supplied the cross, to be ruled offside by the most marginal of VAR calls. United then won the shootout to save some face, although they will need to improve greatly to have a chance of beating Manchester City in a repeat of last season's final. United skipper Bruno Fernandes echoed his manager's remarks and cautioned his teammates against celebrating the win. The Portuguese scored his effort in the shootout and was one of his team's better performers. Jude Bellingham got the winning goal as Real Madrid won the Clásico 3-2 to move 11 points clear of Barcelona in the La Liga. It's just a matter of time before the England midfielder is crowned La Liga champion in his first season at the club. There are 6 games left to play and Real Madrid can even ease up in the domestic competition and concentrate on their Champions League semi-final against Hurricanes Bayern Munich. It was a night when both sides looked drained from their Champions League exerts last week. After Lucas Vazquez had equalized at 2-2 in the second half, it looked as if it would end as a draw. But there is no off switch on the Bellingham motto. The legs just don't know when to stop running, and he had the last word. Bayern Munich are closing in on appointing a new manager. Director Max Ebel has revealed, with speculation over Zinedine Zidane, the number 1 choice, hotting up. Zidane has remained out of work since departing Real Madrid after his second spell in 2021, but his time out of the dugout looks set to come to an end this summer. Indeed, reports have linked him with the imminent vacancy at the Allianz Arena, with current boss Thomas Tuchel set to depart at the end of the roller coasters campaign. Julian Nagelsmann, who previously took charge at Bayern between 2021 and 2023, snubbed surprise interest from his former club after penning an extension to stay at the helm of the German national team until after the 2026 World Cup. Talking tennis, Casper Ruud celebrated his biggest title after finally breaking his final hoodoo with a straight-set victory over Stefanos Tsitsipas in Barcelona. The Norwegian won the biggest title of his career in Barcelona on Sunday, having lost his previous 7 finals at the ATP 500 level. Ruud broke his dog by avenging his defeat by Stefanos Tsitsipas in last week's Monte Carlo final. This time, he beat the Greek 7-5, 6-3, and clay court specialist Ruud is building up ahead of steam before the French Open, where he is twice a beaten finalist. And that's how we call it a wrap on the Sports News Update. I am Anthony Momodu.
Well, thank you, Anthony, for putting that together. Remember, as always, you can join Anthony and Samuel Odi here at 10 o'clock Nigerian time for Talk Sports, when they get to bring you all of the interesting and scintillating sports stories from across the world, across all sports segments. We're taking another quick break, everyone. When we return, you will catch the rest of the show. Do stay with us. We're being joined live now to begin our two conversations this morning via Zoom from Lagos by the President, Yoruba Council Worldwide, who also is a lawyer and a public affairs commentator, Oladichun Hassan. We appreciate you for jumping on the conversation this morning. All right, so we're just going to start with first discussion, which has to do with the Minister of Education saying that two things. First, he says skills, very essential, that not everybody will eventually make it to the university for a handful of reasons. Two of those reasons he highlighted are, one, the fact that, skills are essential, all right? People must get to acquire skills because according to him, after all, not everybody will be able to get into the university or even wrap it up if they ever get in there. The second thing he said is the fact that capacity is a challenge because, according to him, on the average, it's only about 20% of those who write JAM and even scale through to the post-UTME that will be able to, as it were, gain admission into the university. I mean, for someone who has also been through the ivory tower, what are your thoughts?
Please, can you just repeat the question because of the network was not clear?
Yes, I was saying that the Minister of Education has been, he spoke out yesterday. He said there are challenges in the university system, and he said two things. First, people need to acquire skills, young people in particular, because according to him, not everybody will be able to get into the university for a handful of reasons. The second thing he said is that there's a whole lot of, there's a myriad of constraints, one of which is the fact that only 20% on the average will ultimately make it into the university admission because, as it were, there's capacity constraints. So the question is, what happens to the other 80%? He says they need to think about how to acquire skills across different fields of endeavor and interest. What are your thoughts along this line?
Well, I'm highly disappointed reading what the Honorable Minister for Education stated in his comments about the qualification age as the major impediment for development in the education sector, especially the university system. That rhetoric is reasonable. It has nothing. There is no nexus between the age qualification and the anomalies that we are witnessing in the university. They are not. Are we referring to the anomalies of ASU strike? Are we referring to the anomalies of lack of infrastructural facilities? Are we referring to the lack of basic calendars in the university system? So, if the minister is looking for a blame, the age bracket of the student is not the major. We've seen 16 years old undergraduates making haze and they are shining. They are highly intelligent. So there's no nexus on that basis that, it's until when you attain the age of 18, then you can be. So far, you go through the basic, primary, secondary, and you're able to gain admission. So the level of maturity, yes, is one thing that for us to talk about personal maturity, that you can be 25 years and you don't have level of reasonable maturity in you. You can see a 12-year-old child and the high level reasonable maturity grows is an innate thing. It's not about age. However, we need to really talk about what are the impediments of the educational development in Nigeria. There is no national policy plan. The government is just working on a fire brigade approach year in, year out. Firstly, the major impediment is the fact that low budgetary allocation to the education sector. Education is receiving one of the lowest budgetary commitments from the federal, state, and local government. They will only pay lip service when it comes to trying to grandstand on policy plan. Let's say, okay, we are doing mass feeding, school feeding. You just hear that the whole thing, as the whole contract is a scam. You go for a loan. The loan will not solve any problem. All this whole thing are not the solution. The major solution is there must be a national policy plan. We have submitted quite a number of blueprints to the federal government. from that of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, and now to the present administration, to consider new ways and idea. Firstly, budgetary allocation must be no less than 25%. That has been our campaign. Even if we can go to 35%, make education priority. Education is not just about buying school sandals and the biro. It's an holistic development. You must train and ensure that the person you are training is employable and employed to refer to that mass of labor. We must be able to use our education sector to train and export products, labor. But now we don't even have labor to even utilize for the homegrown economy. Then how do we begin to think about exporting? China are exporting labor, Indonesia are exporting labor, Lebanese are exporting labor. So where are our own labor? So what we do here is lip service. So it is not just about being a professor of law. It's all about having the understanding, the basic rudiment of education is beyond just being a professor. You must understand that from the basic. From the basic is the fact that from the allocation, from budgetary allocation to becoming a law, also to make education compulsory at all levels, then review the curriculum, the subject, add more AI subjects, add more subjects that have to deal with IT, skill acquisitions, must be paramount. From your primary school, you can go into training of fabrics, maybe fabrication, welding, and hairdressing, and hotel management. You can have all this training from your primary level as one of the basic subjects to be identified, or just a normal introduction. When you get to secondary school, you have more advanced knowledge. By the time you get to the university, as you are training as a lawyer or as a medical doctor, you already have a basic techniques. So if the minister is now saying that, oh, with all this impediment of age bracket, at the end of the day, JAMB is only just jamming all the entire students without no capacity to grant them admission. Why is it like that? Because what we're supposed to be thinking is the fact that those skill acquisition is talking about will not require a special school. They should have inculcated that while they are from the primary, secondary, and tertiary institution. Not necessarily. If by the time you get to secondary level, you must have been able to add more technical knowledge, know-how to earn money, to do something that you can be able to say, okay, this person is good in fabrication, welding. We even see engineers that look at what China are doing. If you go to their primary and secondary school, they teach them on how to couple phones, how to develop apps. So who's teaching us all these things? You go to schools now, you still be learning ladder, maybe liver, insects. These things are knowledgeable, but they are not what we need to be teaching at this 21st century. You need to be teaching security studies. You need to teach them their basic culture and language. You need to teach them constitution of the land. You need to teach them AI, how they can really earn money, how to think big as a nation and be patriotic. So the school system itself is not aiding learning. So except you go to some private Montessori school, that's when you begin to get all this basic advanced knowledge. But in our public institutions, in our public schools, you hardly get something meaningful because even the teachers lack training. You just see somebody, a dropout, just want to have a job. The only job he's given is teaching, and he has not even been to NCE to know that, yes, there are basic rudiments of teaching. So we have a long way to go. We need to really rejig the education sector. I'm not of the fact that maybe to be sentimental for the fact that, oh, this is the administration that is really leaning towards. I saw some new policy that the administration brought about by having the educational think tank. But if the think tank is yielding towards the thought process of the Honorable Minister of Education, that will score 0. Because the Honorable Minister of Education is the apex chair of whatever that is to happen in the education sector. No matter the think tank of Mr. President, if they are not working perfectly with the basic experience of the person in charge, there will not be any result. So to be fair is for us to look deeply. Mr. Minister should look away from that age bracket thing. JAMB should be able to coordinate themselves appropriately. Gaining school admission, but the fact that there are a lot of schools, you know, the impediment is that are affecting parents. School fees. School fees are there. If you just grant the loan and your loan cannot meet up, then even on the loan bracket, when the public institution are already gaining the same cost of learning with private schools, the same amount of money you spend in some public universities, what you also spend on private school. And on the loan policy, they already discriminated those that are of the tertiary institution in private institution. That is discriminatory ab initio. For you to be a Nigerian student, you must be qualified, both private or public. So that if you are not, because the option of going to private school is so wide, because you go there, there will not be the acceptance fee and all this clueless money that has been collected by the public schools. Because if you go there today, you pay professional fees, you pay some moribund expenses. So, but if you usually go to the private institution, there are some private institutions that are not as expensive as public schools. So then there must be policy driven. There must be passion. The president must have a personal commitment to education sector beyond the minister. Your minister are just your PAs. They don't have the same vision you might be having. So Mr. President needs to come fully on the table to solving the education anomalies that we have. The president needs to be very, very apt on his vision. Oh, if I'm bringing in free education, what are the what are the attractions that education needs to bring on the table? Oh, if you go to school, you will earn money, you'll be paid this, you'll be paid. In some countries, they encourage their students, their pupils to go to school with a lot of hard ads, a lot of excursions, so many learning ideas. Education is a wide range of learning. And I want to implore that until we change the rhetoric from this analog thinking that education is the one size fits all, by the minister just coming to tell you we'll review the age bracket to 18, that has nothing to do with it. So you should just put that under his wardrobe. So nothing of such should just come up, because if he brings that policy, his own ward or his own child will be the first victim. His own family will be the first victim, but will they be able to apply the law if they come up with the policy of 18-year qualification to get into tertiary education?
Interesting. I'm just going to take you to our second discussion straight away, Olajuwon, which has to do with the governorship primaries in Ondo State. As it stands right now, it's probably no longer news that Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa clenched the ticket, which means everything else equal going forward, he will be the one to fly the flag of the All Progressives Congress in the Ondo governorship election, scheduled to take place later in the year. But did it come to you as a piece of shocking news when you learned of how that Governor Aiyedatiwa had emerged the winner of the primary election?
Well, on the Ondo State primaries, it has always been the same cold wounds of sincerity, credibility, fairness, and lack of vision. Because when you plan to fail ab initio, because this the whole thing, that's the same scenario that has been a huge bottleneck on our democracy. Internal party democracy is not feasible. You go to political parties, it's more like a charade, like a garage installation of leadership. You just want to muzzle up, you just want to bring in crisis. If the institutions are clear and party members are well identified, election primaries can be conducted freely by their LGA chairman and ward chairman. Election can start from the ward level, and this have solved the problem more interestingly. So we can't get it right if the party is coming up with this whole moribund primaries that almost every aspirant complained there was no level playing ground. The entire primaries was marred with election irregularities. People were muzzled. The commissioner was beaten, attacked the journalists. Commissioner was beaten to stupor. When are we going to get it right as a country? So if all these old situations will not attract democracy to grow in this country, and we are thinking that, oh, we just need to muzzle ourselves up, we just need to drink ourselves, and we are not laying a very good foundation. It will just amount to the fact that, oh, it's only those that are connected, it's only those that are having the firepower. Election is not about it's not about money. So it has nothing to do with ideology. And I'm highly disappointed that the primaries went that way. So what the party ought to do, especially for that the election coordinating teacher, it's not that way. They should stop this idea of
I understand we're having a bit of a hitch.
party,
Just go ahead, Oladipo. We can hear you.
Election coordination department of the political party. They cannot just come overnight and raise. It's just a.
Let's hope we get better connection real soon, everyone. Let's take a quick break now. We'll continue this conversation with our guests shortly. To stay with us. Look at the papers for you before we get our guests back on afterwards. So let's begin with Daily Independent, everyone. The Star story on the front page of the Daily Independent. Reads, let's see that for you. Says, IGP Egbetokun disagrees with Tinubu governors on state police. That story has 4 riders. Says Nigeria yet to mature for its establishment. Security challenges gave rise to demands of state police. Abbas, we need state police free of tribalism, politics, Akpabio insists. We can't have adequate security without state police. Jonathan, you read all of these details on page 29 of today's Daily Independent newspaper. If you take it a notch higher to the top of, just above the nameplate of the Daily Independent, it says, Rivers Assembly overrides Fubara, extends LG chairman tenures. Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway not a priority. Obi, the rider says, projects may not be completed in 30 years. That's according to Peter Obi. On the right end, still on the front page of Daily Independent, Minister asks Senate to bring FG to offset 1.3 billion naira gas supplies Genco's debts. Tinubu pledges to enhance national security, reform police, electricity markets. NERC transfers regulatory oversight to Enugu government. Terrorism now greater threat to nationhood, says Tinubu. Rider, 3 riders, links it to illegal mining activities, solicits better cooperation among regional blocks, advocates regional counter-terrorism center. Global TV did bring you all of those details yesterday in the course of our news broadcast. Judge vacates order suspending Ganduje as APC national chairman. Okay, let's take it to the Daily Sun newspaper for you. Right, on the Daily Sun this morning, right end, that's top right corner of the front page, Obi raises concerns over Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway projects, calls it misplaced priority that may not be completed in 30 years. That sounds like a long time if that assertion is anything to go by. But the Star story reads, Tinubu keeps open mind as Jonathan backs state police. President says he awaits recommendations. Arrangements not negotiable, says former president. Nigeria not ripe for it. IGP wants. And then on the right end of the front page, herdsmen kill 3 in renewed attack in Benue. Bayelsa Guba Tribunal reserves judgment in Silva's petition against Diri. You would find details on page 27 of today's Daily Sun newspaper. FG to take over debt-ridden discourse in 3 months. Senate plans investigative hearing on tariffs. Edo Guba, INEC lifts ban on political campaigns, warns parties against malicious hate speeches, publishes final names of cleared 17 political party candidates. Government to peg entry age into tertiary institutions at 18, ASU, NAPTAN, AFED faults proposal. NERC transfers regulatory oversight of Enugu electricity markets to Enugu Electricity Commission. External funding of illegal mining fuels terrorism. FG calls for regional standby force. Atiku harps on integrity of government institutions. All right, let's take a look at the Daily Trust for you as well. Daily Trust is loaded as expected. 3 headlines just beneath the nameplates. Ondo APC primaries, 3 aspirants appeal against Ayedatiwa's victory. That process was concluded just about 48 hours ago, but we're already hearing that some 3 aspirants have appealed against Ayedatiwa's victory. Let's also put on record, for starters, that Lucky Ayedatiwa is the incumbent governor of the state. He wants to stand for election because, for the most part, he had been deputy governor to his late principal, talking about Rotimi Akeredolu of blessed memory. What's more here says court vacates order affirming Ganduje's suspension. And then what to know about new First Bank's acting CEO, Alebio Su. Big Story says IGP kicks as Jonathan others canvass state police. 2 riders, Abdusalami Akpabio, warned against politicians' influence. Current policing system ineffective, Abbas. I'm committed to reforms, Tinubu. Let's see, left corner of the Daily Trust newspaper. Father, son, 1 other die in Kano trying to retrieve phone from latrine. Quite a sad story. You'll find details on page 10 of today's Daily Trust newspaper. Father, son, 1 die in Kano trying to retrieve phone from latrine. FG plans to peg varsity entry age at 18. After 16 years, Airspace Agency to raise navigation charges. At the foot of the Daily Trust today, terrorism, renews social contract with citizens. UN tells Nigeria others. Tinubu blames ransom, illegal mining. Of course, those are issues that must be dealt with. But again, that takes us to our next paper this morning, which is the Daily Times for you. We begin from the headline right above the nameplate. Segun Olatunji media body CSOs refer case to National Media Ombudsman for adjudication. Big Story. Nigeria not ripe for state police. IGP insists. 2 riders. Says governors could use police force under them for political personal gains. And that has been one fear consistently expressed by politicians and non-politicians alike. We can't have adequate security without state policing, Jonathan. And then Nigeria will strengthen regional collaboration against terrorism, Tinubu. Kano, judge reverses order suspending Ganduje as APC national chairman. NIMET agreements others warned against impending flood crisis in June. So we better brace up. And then lastly, at the foot of the Daily Times today, NNPCL deploys resources to transform Nigeria into gas-powered nation. That had better happen real quickly. Okay, but that's the last story we're bringing you from the Daily Times. Let's move on up to the Leadership newspaper for you. And then above the nameplate as well, coastal superhighway projects not a priority now. Peter Obi there speaking again. That story appears to be replicated across several major dailies today. Ondo APC receives 3 petitions over party primary. FG orders sale of discos managed by banks, AMCON within 3 months. Court vacates order suspending Ganduje as APC national chairman. Tinubu off to Netherlands, Saudi Arabia on official visits. Binance executive who escaped from Nigeria arrested in Kenya. Foreigners, illicit arms driving terrorism in Nigeria, NSA. Edo Guba campaigns kick off Wednesday, that's tomorrow. So it becomes official to campaign as far as the Edo State governorship election is concerned, beginning tomorrow, tomorrow Wednesday. That's right, 24th of April, right? But recall that the elections are scheduled for the 21st of September this year, right? A big story on the Leadership newspaper today, state policing. IGP CSOs object as Tinubu, Jonathan, Abdusalami give nod. The riders say we are ready to decentralize force, presidency. IGP kicks once NSCDC, FRSC merged as police department. Nigeria can't have internal security without state police, Jonathan Abdusalami. That sounds interesting, but the conversation is on, no doubt about that. Okay. Let's bring you the New Telegraph next. That's our paper, the paper we're looking at right now, the New Telegraph. Above the nameplate, BVN, CBN's subtle threat boosts enrollment to 61.47 million. Right, SAP Dangote Refinery to start petrol supply in Q4 2024. What are other headlines? NERC cedes regulatory oversights of Enugu Ekiti electricity markets to EERC, EERB. Ondo APC, 3 aspirants protest Ayedatiwa's win. Judge reverses self, vacates order suspending Ganduje. UK deportation flights to Rwanda will take off come what may, Sunak. Insecurity, IGP kicks against state police once NSCDC, FRSC merged under NPF. Tinubu urges African leaders to address root causes of terrorism. Okay, we have more headlines for you from today's New Telegraph. Fuel scarcity hits Lagos again. Edo Guba, INEC clears Okbewolo, Igodalo, Akbata, 14 others. Obi, Lagos Calabar Superhighway will worsen Nigeria's debt burden. That's on page 29 for you. UTME, YFG may peg varsity others entry age at 18 years by minister. GOC 82 division, most IPOB members, escapees from Owerri facility. So what do we do to get them back to where they should be? Well, we look forward to seeing what the authorities will do going forward. But then that's all we're bringing to you from the New Telegraph. Let's turn now to this day newspaper quickly. On the front page of it, the Star story reads, Tinubu external funding fueling illegal mining terrorism in Africa. And it has several riders for you would like to look at. Okay. Ex-British envoy urges Nigeria to reject IMF's projected low economic ranking. In historic move, NERC transfers regulatory oversight to Enugu Electricity Commission. The writer says state-controlled regulators to determine tariffs for residents above the nameplate. DMO, Nigeria working on details of proposed dollar-denominated local band. That sounds like where we should be heading right now as a country. Okay. But again, that's all the stories we're bringing you from this day. We have next the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, on the front page of it, just the very top of the nameplate, Ondo APC Primary Appeal Committee confirms receipts of 3 petitions. And then we have a story with a picture of the embattled former governor, immediate past governor, that is of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. Judges conference stalls hearing of EFCC's appeal challenging order stopping Yahaya Bello's arrest. A judge reverses self, vacates order suspending Ganduje. Nigeria not ripe for state police, IGP says. FG may adopt 18 years as university entry age. Queen Agaba and I took our time bringing you chit-chat on this earlier. Assert yourself over IMF downgrading, ex-UK envoy tells Nigeria. Rivers Assembly overrides Fubara, passes LG amendment bill. FG transfers regulatory oversight of Enugu electricity market to Enugu state government. Illegal mining fueling terrorism, Tinubu advocates comprehensive approach to combating terrorism. PAR, FG sets to resell distribution companies by July. We'll see what will lead to all of those. Incidentally, that's all we're bringing to you with regards to the papers this morning, and that marks the end of Global Morning this Tuesday. A big thank you on behalf of myself, Queen Agaba, and the entire team here at Global Television for watching today. The rest of the team will continue from tomorrow, Wednesday through Friday, and that will be Jumai Manson, Anthony Mamodu, as well as the likes of Michael Adiko. I'm Uyag Mofwebe, saying a big thank you to you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Stay with Global Television.